Okay, so here is the file with all the models and animation and everything I created to create the physics playground animation. And so what I'm going to do is just kind of go along piece by piece and sort of explain to you how I figured it out and kind of went about creating everything. First, if you've seen my video on Introduction to Blender Physics, then you know that Blender has a really cool thing built into it, Bullet Time Physics Engine, which allows you to play with gravity and collision and things like that. Starting out, we've got this kind of slide, and this was a real simple build here. If I just click this plus sign, I'll go ahead and create a new scene so we can hop back and forth. I'll click new, and then I'm going to go into top view, and then just tap Shift A and add a plane. And then here, so we have this simple plane here. So basically all I did creating the slide, if I hit tab to go into edit mode, and then go into edge select mode, is I just, actually I did this from top view. I'll hit E to extrude, and then I'm hold control to constrain my extrusion, and then I'll hit E to extrude again, and grab this edge and hit E to extrude again, and extrude that, holding control so it constrains to the grid so I get these perfect shaped paths pretty much. Hit E, hold control, and hit E to extrude this. Select that edge there, hit E to extrude it, hold control, hit E to extrude again, and I'll just extrude this one more time and extrude that. I'll hit tab to go back in edit mode, and I'll make sure I'm in face selection. I'll tap A to select everything. So what I did is I would select everything here and then shift select the starting faces and then hit G to grab and then move it up like this, and then I would shift select these to deselect them and then hit G to grab, middle mouse to constrain along the Z axis, and G to grab that, and shift to deselect these, hit G to grab that. And that's basically how I started out that basic shape here, which is a very simple kind of platform for my marble to roll on. So if I put my cursor up here and then I hit tab to go out of edit mode and I tap Shift A and I add a cube. So actually the marble is from the base shape of a cube. And the reason for this is if I put a subdivision surface on this cube and then I increase its subdivision levels here, what we have appears to be a sphere shape, but it's actually slightly off a little bit. If I go ahead and rotate this, you can see the kind of little bit of wobbliness in the marble. And this is what I used for my base marble here. And it wasn't actually intentional, but it actually turned out really well, because the advantage to using that over, say, like a sphere, so I could like click over here and make a UV sphere and then give that a subdivision modifier. If I rotate that, you see it's much more perfect than the one from the base of a cube. But the advantage of the slight wobble is that it's a little bit more noticeable when it's moving. It gives you a little more visual information. We need to apply the physics to it. So I'm going to hit T to bring up my tools. And if under rigid body I have this cube selected, I'm going to go ahead and delete that sphere over there. And if I have it selected, I click Add Active. This now gives my sphere physical properties such that if I hit play, it will fall, and it'll just continue to fall because nothing else has collision. The next step would be to click on my path and click Add Passive, which basically means that everything with physics will react to this, but this will stay stuck in 3D space. So then if I were to hit play again, you'll see that the ball falls and then it starts moving along that path there. So I'll hit pause and then go back to the end. Now, it wasn't actually rolling because this cube's actual shape, if I turn the visibility of this subdivision surface modifier off, this cube shape is still basically a cube. So Blender is still, as far as physics are concerned, Blender is still treating this as a cube. But we can override that. We can change the way that Blender perceives the physics of this object by clicking on it and clicking Change Shape and choose Sphere. And now, even if it is a cube shape, it's going to roll like a sphere when I click play. Well, it's not doing anything because it needs to be picked up a little bit. But if we pick it up a little bit and then hit play, and it's still not going, so I'll just move it along a little bit and then let go. You'll see now it's rolling like a sphere, the cube is, and will continue to do so. So if I click on this eye to turn the effects of the subdivision surface back on, then now we have a ball rolling with a tiny little bit of a wobble. So then if I hop back on over to the main scene here, and so obviously a little more work went into this slide than just extruding one plane, but that was basically it. The other bit was just essentially extruding up some sides and then bottom there. And basically I created the whole rails of this slide by using an inset face. So if I switch back over here, I'll select that, and if I hit tab to go into edit mode, it's a small problem. I'm not sure if it's a bug or what the deal is, but before I was able to inset the faces all the way around the whole thing, I had to select it all and then extrude, which I would have done anyway because I wouldn't want this just to be a flat two-dimensional plane coming down here. I'd want it to have some depth. So I selected all these faces and then extruded them up, and then from there I can perform an inset face, which in Sensei format is Shift-E. And then so as soon as I do that, you see I've got kind of these kind of rail shapes around my slide, and then I can just hit E to extrude them and lift that up, and then you see I've got my basic slide going on here. One thing that was happening was that the marble would fall down to one of these kind of stopping points and then get stuck there. So an easy way I overcame that was just by selecting the edge right near where the slide begins again, and then just hit G and then grabbing it and then just pulling it down just a tiny bit so that the marble would continue to roll down each tier.